I've put in a lot of effort for today's video. Hey everyone, welcome back to Popcorn Pixels Talk Time with me, Nidhi Sahani. I haven't shared a story of my filmy self in a while, so here goes. A story of a film that is closest to my heart, Lamhe. I don't remember the first time I watched it, or the second, or the third, or the 10th. I just remember always being in love with it. You know how in interviews with actors or filmmakers, we often ask, what was the first film that made you realize that you love cinema? If someone were to ask me that question, my first vision is of Sridevi running towards a helicopter in London and singing, Kabhi Main Kahun. It's not just for any one reason. I mean, the acting or the story, the music, the cinematography. It's the entire package that I'm in awe of. Okay, this is something really personal and probably too much information, but a few days ago I was listening to the songs after ages and suddenly I was so overwhelmed with nostalgia that I started crying, as in full-on burst into tears crying. And then a few days after that, I decided to rewatch it for the 50th billionth time. Disclaimer for the uninitiated, Lamhe is exactly 3 hours long, like a typical old-school Bollywood drama, but for good reason. The film takes time to establish its mood, the tone, and the setting. It opens with Viren, played by Anil Kapoor, and Daija, played by Di Wahida Rahman, driving through a hot desert. Viren spots some locals casually hanging out in the scorching sun in the desert and asks Daija, "Inko garmi nahi lagti? Don't they feel hot?" and insists that he will never be able to see Rajasthan as his home. To which Daija responds, "दो चार दिन में जब ये धूप तुम्हें पहचान लेगी, तो तुम्हारा दिल भी लग जाएगा." And this statement holds true for the viewers as well. Give it a few minutes and you will get totally sucked into the film and mesmerized by Sridevi. Here's a quick synopsis of the film. Virendra Pratap Singh, or Viren, is a prince whose parents migrated to London before his birth. He's visiting Rajasthan for the first time to just do some paperwork and return home. However, on his first night itself, he spots a gorgeous girl singing and dancing in the rain with her friends. It's love at first sight for Viren. He's completely smitten by her. They become friends, she gets him acquainted to the traditions of Rajasthan, and suddenly Pallavi's father dies. That's when we see the first plot twist. Viren thinks that he can console her because she loves him as well. Instead, he discovers that Pallavi loves another man, Siddharth. Viren is heartbroken but gives them his blessings and returns to London. And a few minutes after that, it's time for another plot twist. Pallavi and Siddharth meet with an unfortunate accident and both of them die, leaving behind a newborn baby girl, Pooja. Daija raises Pooja and tells her stories about Viren. Viren, on the other hand, refuses to meet or even see Pooja's face because her birth reminds him of Pallavi's death. 18 years later, when Pooja and Viren finally come face to face, his heart drops because Pooja is a spitting image of her mother, Pallavi. And this is where it gets really interesting. And I'm gonna skip the details now. In the first half of the film, Viren falls in love with Pallavi, a woman who's older than him, something that's usually frowned upon. In the second half of the film, Pooja has been in love with Viren for as long as she can remember, a man who's 20 years older than her. And the film doesn't tread lightly on this issue. It keeps repeating how messy, awkward, and bizarre the situation is. But you still want to root for their love story. You want Pooja and Viren to get together in the end, even though it's completely impractical and kinda cringy. Watching the film as an adult now, I saw it and felt it a little differently. It was very progressive and way ahead of its time. For starters, the film belonged to its women. Both Pallavi and Pooja are strong-willed, free-spirited, opinionated, and sure of themselves. They're aware of their boundaries, but aren't afraid of pushing them. Daija, she knows her authority. She believes in the power of love and relationships, but she doesn't get blinded by them. She's emotional, but she's pragmatic. Anita, Viren's fiancée in London, she's strong, she's assertive, and she knows that she's in love with a man who undoubtedly has some issues, but is not willing to be his doormat. Oh, and can I just say, she's a fashionista. Another thing is how friendship is portrayed between Viren and Prem, played by Anupam Kher. He's not the typical hero's friend who will blindly follow him everywhere. He's a good friend and he's supportive when he needs to be because he knows that Viren is emotionally weak, but he's also not afraid to show him the mirror when his friend is wrong. And the hero of the film isn't even the hero. He's conflicted, he's in denial, he's so non-confrontational, and has suppressed his emotions for so long that he lacks personality and courage. Ironically, all the other characters are a whole, supporting him to become whole. Now, if a film like this were to release today, it will definitely be extremely problematic. For example, how it shows that a woman's sole purpose in life is to get married, or that she needs a male figure to support her or take responsibility of her, or the end, which is unrealistic. But it would be unfair to dissect it and view it keeping in mind today's conversations and culture. All I can say is, for me, Lamhe is Sridevi, and Sridevi is Lamhe, and it gets me every time. On that note, if you too grew up watching Lamhe, drop me a comment and tell me what you love about it, hashtag I love Lamhe because, and don't forget to subscribe and follow. See you next time!